Take a walk with me. Stretch out this time and savor the moment. It's time for a red mage, blue mage extra turn, baby. Oh yeah.
Why can't you control your computer? That was my song.
It's because artificial intelligence.
Oh, is it your computer's self-aware now?
Computer. In program. Are we still recording?
Ooh! I didn't get you. How scary.
God. Okay, never mind. Just carry on.
Carry on doing your business.
Okay. We should just get into this now.
What's that?
So, there's another extra turn.
Oh, yes.
Another extra turn.
Oh, my God. 2 extra turns.
And because there's another thing that we've been meaning to talk about for a minute, and it'll be coming up here pretty soon, which is that Magic is flirting with the idea of changing the Mulligan rule, changing how you deal with opening hands. And
is this in general or specific to tournaments?
Good question. Part of what they're talking about with this new proposed way of changing things is it might apply to some formats and not others.
Okay.
So I don't know. But then again, like the current Mulligan rule is everywhere.
So then my question is, if you have a Mulligan system already in place that's used everywhere, is there something inherently wrong with it, or it could be improved?
They think it could be better.
So why do they think it could be better?
Okay,
what are the issues with the current Mulligan?
Right. So the current Mulligan rule is you have 7 cards. If you don't like your 7 cards, you can shuffle them up, Mulligan down to 6. If you don't like that, shuffle Mulligan down to 5. You just 1 card fewer each time. Mm-hmm. Whenever you keep a hand that you mulliganed at least once, you scry 1. It doesn't matter how many times you mulliganed. So if you keep 6, you scry 1. If you keep 2, you scry 1.
Okay. And scrying means look at it and put it back on top or put it on the bottom.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's meant to help you hit that land drop that you want to.
Yes.
So you're down a card already. You're already at a disadvantage. It's trying to make it so that you get to play a game of Magic.
Right.
So you can potentially keep a 1-lander or 2-lander and not get completely hosed.
Okay, so at home, we have, a lot of people have their home rules.
Sure.
Like when Brandon and I play, usually it's like, if we both have a hand that we have to mulligan.
Gentleman's mulligan.
Yeah, we just go, all right, let's just
both draw 7.
Just draw 7 again.
Sure. There's nothing wrong with that.
No. And in a tournament setting, basically, if you mulligan to the point where you cannot play, you'd lose that game. Correct?
Yes. Well, you can keep it like a 0 hand
and just try and play
and try. No one would though.
Yeah,
you were going to
but
lose.
You will literally lose that, and so that goes against your win-loss.
Yep. If you concede, you lose.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. Just making sure.
So that's the current, and that's actually I think why they're trying to change it. They're basically just trying to make it because everybody's had this experience if you've played Magic. Sometimes you look at your opening hand, your opening 7. There's no lands in it. You mulligan it. You go down to 6. You've only got 1 land in it. You have to mulligan. You go down to 5. You now have 1, let's say. And now you kind of have to keep it.
Yeah.
And you just don't get to play Magic this game. You can go ahead and play it out, and people often do, but you just don't get to do anything.
Right.
And your deck doesn't get to do anything. And that happens enough that they're like, if there's some way for us to make it so that there's still a disadvantage to mulliganing, but you still get to play a game of Magic, then we would want to do that.
Okay. I would just quit.
And this is actually a good connection to an article that came out. This is an old article.
Okay.
This is from 2015. It's an article simply called Mulligans, but it's talking about these different potential mulligan systems that they've toyed with. Mm-hmm. And there's a good section in the article where they are explaining what they want out of a new mulligan system. Mm-hmm. So they have 4 goals. 1, this is quoting from the article, reduce the number of non-games resulting from mulligans. 2, don't dramatically increase the frequency of players' mulligans. So one thing they want to avoid is if mulliganing is too good, you might intentionally mulligan much more hands so you can get exactly what you want.
Yeah. If
the mulligan rule is stronger. Keep the basics of Magic deck building and gameplay the same. So that's kind of similar to number 2. Mm-hmm. They don't want new strategies to emerge that depend on the new mulligan rule. Mm-hmm. They want Magic to still feel the same. Mm-hmm. And number 4, have the same mulligan rule for limited and constructed. Mm-hmm. So for drafting in.
Is this an actual Magic official?
This is an official article from them.
By?
This is by Sam Stoddard, I think. Let me look.
Okay.
Sam Stoddard.
Okay.
Yep. So those are their big goals, is get rid of non-games and make it so that it doesn't have a huge impact on the way people build decks.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So you don't see people trying to make 2-card combos and just aggressively mulliganing so they can guarantee get those two. So they've got a bunch of different systems. Should we go through these?
I suppose so, because I don't know anything.
I'll start with the one that they're proposing and that they're going to be trying in London. So this one, it's being referred to now as the London Mulligan.
Yeah.
But here they call it 777 Shuffle X back. So they wrote, this was attempting to do something similar to the scry mulligan that we currently have, but in a way that was more powerful. Basically, each time you mulligan, you draw up to 7 cards, but get rid of cards that you can't use down to the appropriate smaller hand size per mulligan, thereby increasing the chances that you have a reasonable hand. So you look at your initial 7, you don't like them.
You redraw entirely.
You redraw, get 7 new cards, and if you want to keep that hand, you would then take one of the cards and put it back.
It's basically a more controlled method.
Yes. Your hand size is going down, but
you get to make the
same amount of selection.
And you also get to make the choice.
Correct.
Not the chase. I said choice.
You heard me.
You heard me. I stared at the microphone.
It bings at us again.
Okay. So that's the London Mulligan.
That's what they're proposing.
Okay.
And that's what they're going to be trying to do.
So, what do you think about it? I know how I feel about it.
I think for a lot of purposes, it sounds really good.
Yep.
Like, for example, playing Cube or playing Commander, which are the formats I like the most.
Right.
Sounds like a dream. Like,
well, yeah, because your deck is one ofs.
Right, exactly. And, there's not going to be, in general, there's nothing going to be so broken that you can assemble that you are just looking for 2 cards exactly that will win you the game. The drawback of this mulligan style is in formats like Legacy and Vintage, where you can win the game with just a couple cards.
Right.
And then you can just mulligan until you get those 3 cards or whatever they are.
So then you just make them do a different mulligan.
Yeah, so maybe it's like a different mulligan system for each format.
It's like I'm thinking about it right now. I would much prefer the choice aspect.
Yeah.
Just from I'm building my own modern and standard decks, and I know that I don't care for combo stuff. I don't want to play. So we've talked about before in other episodes. I'm not sure they're out yet. They probably aren't out yet. And this is why I was worried about extra turn. But anyway, letting people know that one of the reasons I really like Magic isn't the whole aspect of I want to just win this game perfectly. It's that risk factor, that luck factor, because it always feels good when you do the heart of the cards draw and you get that 5/5 flying haste dragon, and it's like boom, and your player had 3 hit points.
Worked out just right.
Just worked out just right. It adds a different dimension to game playing. I think that's not just on me and I know I bought these
that's where the excitement
$400 cards or whatever. That's exciting to me.
Right.
And every game's different.
It is, yeah, and it feels good. I mean, from the perspective of a burn player, it feels good when you just roast them, right? Yes. It feels good when you just hit everything and it just works out perfectly. But you're right, the most exciting game is the one where you've gotten them down to 3 life.
Yeah.
And they're getting where they're going to start coming back, and you have to draw that.
Oh my god, and it's so been beautiful because I love risk factor, the card. And of course, when you're starting out with somebody who has 20 health or at full, and they're just like, we'll take the 4. But when you get them down to 6 HP and then you drop that risk factor out there and then you have no cards and you get to draw 3 cards, it's so nice to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to mulligans. So I'd be interested to see how it goes in the Mythic.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think some people have already kind of noted that this same pattern that we're seeing of them announcing this change, testing it in one location, this is what they did the last time they instituted a mulligan.
Yeah.
And they've obviously done a lot of testing internally. I think there's a very good chance that this will be the new mulligan system.
It doesn't bother me.
No, it doesn't bother me either.
But I know there's some people who are like, we already have one.
You're changing Magic.
Well, I can be that way too.
Sure.
But to me, this is inconsequential. Because this is inconsequential to
how you play.
How I play.
Yeah.
And what I want to do when I play Magic.
It's true.
So
if it's a bad rule, if it winds up not being good,
because people take advantage of it somehow.
I can just say at my table, we're just going to use the old rule.
Old mulligan?
Yeah.
What are you going to call the old mulligan?
Or in the same way, like when they changed, like how burn spells work. It used to be that if you wanted to target a planeswalker with a damage ability, you could, anything that would hit a player, you could redirect to the planeswalker.
Yeah.
And now they specifically have on everything, it has to say planeswalker or any target.
Any target, yeah.
And they changed the text on tons of old cards.
Right.
So in my cube, there's tons of cards that don't have the right text.
Right.
So I just keep the old rule that they had. If you have something that damages a player, you can redirect it to a planeswalker.
Gotcha.
Just because it's easier to keep track of.
Right.
So for our purposes in general, like if you don't like a rule, you can play it how you want. It matters for the people who are playing this competitively.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm not in the competitive scene
Not yet.
Well, I probably won't ever be, but it does give a better advantage, which
More
is
control.
fine. Which is like if they're saying they want people to be able to play the game, then I think this is the good
choice.
Good choice, yeah.
And it feels balanced. Like you still, when you mulligan, you still wind up down the same number of cards. It's just the goal is very clear. It's just to make it so that you get a reasonable proportion of lands and non-lands
Right.
in the hand that you keep.
Right.
So I think it looks good.
The end.
Do you want to hear about some other potential ways of doing it?
Oh boy.
So I'll just rattle through some of these, and you can just give whatever thoughts that you have.
Okay.
So they have one called 7/7 Stop, and that's basically what it does. So this is quoting from the article again. This came from looking at how frequently players mulligan to 5 and their win percentages. The number of games a player mulliganed to 5 was low. So, but so was the win percentage of doing so. So you don't often mulligan to 5. When you do, you lose. These also made a lot of non-games. One possibility was just to improve the win percentages of people who mulligan once by giving them the extra card and hoping that would make up for the number of times someone just loses if they have a second bad hand. So you have 7 cards. If you don't like it, you can get a fresh 7 cards and then you're done. You have to keep the 7.
No.
So I'll give you another one. Again,
Okay.
you can share your thoughts on any of these later. So this one is 76655.
Oh God.
So basically, you go from they're saying there's a big difference between mulligan to 6
Yeah.
and mulliganing to 5.
Yes.
Your chances of winning drop so dramatically
that
when you
makes
go to
sense.
5.
That makes sense.
So they give you an extra bite at 6.
Right.
And the same with 5. The difference between 5 and 4 is also super
Huge, yeah.
steep. So they're just giving you an extra shot at each one.
No, it's too much to keep track of.
And then the other one is our current, the scry mulligan.
Yeah.
So you don't like either of those?
I'm the kind of person who would mulligan to 3 and fly by the seat of my fucking pants.
And just see where this goes.
Yeah.
Well, those can lead to some of the most awesome games if you can come back from that.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, that's, like, I'm also the kind of person that draws 7 and I have 2 lands. I'm like, fuck it, balls to the
Let it
wall,
ride.
bitches. I'm
Yeah.
going to play this game and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And I'm also the kind of person who never concedes.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, there's absolutely no way.
Right.
But I'm always just like, no, let's see how this happens. Because that's the part of Magic I like. You don't 100%
Right.
know because the draw and the randomization.
The way it could change the game in a heartbeat.
And not just mine, not just my
Yeah,
randomization,
totally.
but the other person's.
They could hit a brick wall
Yeah,
and
exactly.
draw 10 lands in
like
a row.
literally, they have a 2-card advantage on me, but then by turn 8, are just drawing land,
Yep.
land.
And you can come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That's what I like about the game.
I agree.
Why I can keep playing it.
I think this proposed rule change seems like a pretty nice balance between it's kind of doing the goals that they wanted it to do, which is still making Magic feel the same. You're mulliganing, you're at a slight disadvantage. You should be.
Mm-hmm.
Like there should be a penalty to taking a mulligan, but it's not so punishing that if your second hand looks bad, you just lose.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
I like it.
We'll start using it
Okay.
next time we play.
We'll do it.
All right.
Um,
That's end of the extra turn. Your turn's over.
Your turn is ended. So I think the way it should end is you should say chain lightning, and I should say time stop.
Chain lightning.
Time stop.
This is stupid. I hate it.
And that's how we'll do it every time.
Okay, fine. I don't care. Oh yeah, find us on the internet. Hey,
Hey,
if people want to talk to us,
there's lots of ways to do that.
how?
You could do it on Twitter
Yeah.
at RedBlueMTG.
Okay.
You could email us, redmagebluemage@geekspective.com. You
Okay.
could tweet at me at Wolfmere.
Don't do it.
You could tweet at you.
Also, don't do it. Rocket Orca.
Here's my handle.
Here's the handle though. Tweet me, bro.
And yeah, That'll do it for us.
Chain of lightning.
Time stop.
Sorry, it's so silly. A chain of